That's an original Apple II, now housed by the Maryland Institute for Technology in the Humanities, or simply MITH. Associate Director Matthew Kirschenbaum still remembers the first time he booted it up.
First thing I did with it was play a game, because even though I told my parents I wanted it to do homework and word processing and programming, I also really wanted to play games.
After that, Apple technology evolved into an everyday part of our lives. We use it to play music, call loved ones, surf the internet, and make movies. Even before Steve Jobs died, students were learning about him in computer history classes.
Steve Jobs popped up almost every other sentence, and whether it was his technology or his influence on others, it seemed like we wouldn't be here.
Try to imagine life if Steve Jobs hadn't existed. No iPods, no iPhones, no Mac computers. He even invented the first fonts for computers.
I got iPhones right here, cracked. Look at that, peep it.
How often do you use it?
I use it all the time, it's my phone.
Steve Jobs probably won't be remembered so much as an inventor, but more as a visionary. He often knew what the consumer needed, even if they didn't. Case in point, there were tablets before iPads, phones before the iPhone. But that's partly why he was so innovative. He did things people thought were crazy and a waste of time.
An iPad. I mean, I remember hearing about it and people kind of laughing about it, like, what's that? It's like, it's not a computer, it's not a phone. And then now it's like, people are just like, well, what would I do without it?
Jobs' passion seemed to flow from the computers to the users.
And I said, well, why don't you just buy a new computer? He says, I spent $2,500 on this machine, and I'm going to get every cent's worth out of it. Well, he'd been using it for 15 or 20 years anyway. He'd already been using it forever. I think he probably is still using that computer today, his Apple II.
And to think it all began with a college class in calligraphy and two guys in a garage.